Hey guys, it's Eric again. Basically, what I wanted to talk about in this video was if you've seen my first video and kind of like my testimony of how I personally came to be curious about religion and, kind of how like I felt that God chased me down. So what drove me to start investigating faith and really starting to like legitimately dive into what Christianity is, like who Jesus Christ was and what he did for me. Um, After you kind of take that first leap of faith um, and decide, like, hey, God, I know that you're real. I feel like I just have an empty life. Like, I need a connection with you. And then you're like, well, where do I go from here? Because for me, I had no friends at the time who I could talk to about it, none of that. So what I had to do was I had to take a leap of faith. I was familiar with kids who were on campus, who were involved in ministry, and I went to speak with them. And what I knew for sure was part of being religious and learning about Jesus is the Bible. This is where all of our knowledge comes from of what we know about Jesus and the amazing works that he did and how he saved us. So for me, what I did is I would go out and I'd have meetings with people from ministry. The first girl I met with, I said, I'm curious about ministry. She had kind of known me. She had known I wasn't really religious at the time. I said, where do I start reading the Bible? Because when I had started when I was younger, I had tried going from Genesis, which is in the Old Testament, the first book of the Bible, on, which doesn't work. I mean, especially for us younger kids, it's kind of dry reading sometimes. It's more philosophical, harder, kind of a more difficult read. Um, and so I had asked her, I said, where do you think I should start? She said, the Gospel of John. So I remembered that, I wrote it down, and then I went and I talked to several other ministry people over the next week, said, where do you think I should start? Just other friends that were my age who had read the Bible. Some came from religious backgrounds, others came from party backgrounds, all kinds of stuff from all over the place. And every single one said, read the Gospel of John first. So that's what I would really encourage for you to do if you really are on fire about this, if you're curious about what this is all about. I'm sure people who are watching this who are already believers, my brothers and sisters, will give their own recommendations as well as where you can start and their own stories of how like it helped them. So I read through the Gospel of John first, and then after that, it's kind of like once you ask people what should you read next, a lot of people will say Acts, a lot of people will say Psalms, Proverbs, all kinds of stuff, and they're all awesome. And it kind of depends on where you're at. They're all great supplementary after that, but John is like a great place to start. So I would encourage you to like definitely get involved in ministry if possible, whether it be out of a youth group at church. For me, it was I have like three ministries on campus that I attended to figure out which one kind of like resonated more in my heart, like which one felt right to me after going to it for a couple weeks and praying about it. So basically, I guess kind of what John is about. John is basically one of the stories of Jesus. It's Jesus like works through John's perspective and or John's witnessing of these events. So it's his recording of what Jesus did, and he just the way he writes it relates so well, and it's just really powerful. Like for me, the first time reading through John, there were certain parts where I'd be reading through it, and my hands would physically shake, and I knew like that the Bible isn't just some old dusty book like parchment, like a dictionary that's supposed to just sit on the shelf. There were certain things I would read out of here that related directly to the situations I was going through, and it was like this was written over 2,000 years ago. And what that kind of told me was that like humans, like we might have different technology, cell phones, computers, Facebook, all this stuff now, but that doesn't change who God is and God's love for us. Like God is still the same. There's a song with a line in it that says, your God is the same through the ages. Your love never changes. One of my favorites, but like it was really powerful to me. So there were certain parts where my hands would just shake. Just that understanding of this is God's word. This is from Him. This isn't just some random guys putting this together a couple thousand years ago and it just happened to survive all the way till now. Like how many parchments and writings have been lost since then, you know? And so the author is John, who calls himself the disciple that Jesus loved. And this, I don't know, John clearly states his theme and purpose, that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in His name, which is so great. They say that John was written between about 80 AD and 100 AD, so long time ago. Says it was the last of the four Gospels to be written. It was likely completed while John was like in his old age, living in Ephesus in Asia Minor, where he served as the leader of the local church. So this was like John writing it later on, older in life, that they believe, we don't know, kind of accounting for what happened when he was with Jesus. So that's actually when he like wrote it all down. But you know, just reading through this, he really stresses like what happened with Jesus, what it was like to be like Jesus' disciple, like living right with Him, being with Him every day, seeing these miracles in person. And something that I would really challenge you guys to do, even if you are a believer, maybe even go back and read this, is it's just really cool the way, like when you actually think about what you're reading, like this isn't just a novel. You know, I didn't sit down and write this for your entertainment, you know? No one sat down to write this for your entertainment. And when you read it, like, understand that these things actually happened. Like, the miracles that happen in this will resonate more with you, I think. For example, for me, when I was reading the part where Jesus is speaking to a woman at a well, this lady was kind of like an adulteress, you know, kind of slept with a lot of men, and she's going to the well to get water, which is where Jesus is. And basically, she just gets in this conversation with Jesus, and Jesus reveals that He's the Christ. After her questioning Him, like, oh, are you a prophet? All these kinds of things. And He reveals, like, yeah, I'm the Son of God, you know? Like, basically, I'm God here in human form. And for me, like, I put myself in her place. Like, I don't necessarily sleep around with a bunch of men, but, like, I'm a sinner, just the same as she was. I've done so many things that make me undeserving of even any of God's grace or even being in His presence. And I cannot imagine, like, walk into my water fountain one day and there I meet the creator of everything, the Son of God. Like, I don't know, reading that, I was just like tweaking out, just amazed, basically, in awe of what that experience would be like. So I would really encourage that you kind of read it with that lens. I would encourage that you get involved, that you speak with other people, and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No one's going to be like, oh, you're so dumb because you didn't go to Sunday school and learn this, you know? So I would really encourage that you do that, and continue praying. And if there's any way that I can pray for you, believer, non-believer, curious about whatever, just let me know. Just comment on the video. So I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear kind of what your plans are. If you do go out and try something, I'd love to, you know, see a video response of how that went for you, or comments, whatever you can do. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you in a couple days.